Okay, now I understand that everybody, has heard about the whole Jonathan Majors thing to death, and I'm not here to beat a dead horse. I'm really, really, really not. But I did notice something interesting when I was watching this whole trial thing. Now, of course, everybody knows, he basically got found guilty of recklessly putting his girlfriend back in the car, basically. And I think that was like right before she chased him around New York City. He was running like Science the Hedgehog around every borough in New York. But whether you think he's innocent, guilty, whatever, none of that's important with this conversation. Think whatever you want to think. I got no idea what to think. I don't know what happened. It seemed like they had a pretty toxic relationship. They seemed like they were like Whitney and Bobby. But that's a whole. We gotta stop comparing this lady to black people though, because he did that and got in trouble for it. But what I'm really here to talk about, and what I noticed about this case, is when God puts you in timeout. Like when God says, you need to sit down for a second and focus on me. You need to chill out for a second, and I'm going to just sit you down for a moment because you're getting too wild. Like, because, Jonathan Majors, he was on a career high. Like, he was about to be the big Marvel villain. He's about to be King the Conqueror, who is like a huge villain in the comics. He was in the new Creed, which did really well financially. And he was about to be in this like Oscar movie called Magazine Dreams, which I guess is going to be shelved now because of the whole controversy. But he was on a career high. He was on a career high. And I don't think we've ever seen anybody lose it that quick. Like, he went from being the next Denzel to being the next Ike Turner in just like a few months. Which is crazy. Not to say that he is Ike Turner, because I don't know. I got no clue. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot of gray in that whole situation. But I don't know. But all I'm saying is he lost it quick, y'all. He lost it quick. And it just really made me think about how, because, I was listening to the voice messages from the case with him and his girlfriend, and, he's telling her, you got to be like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama. And he's talking about how he's a great man. He's like, I'm a great man. I am a great man. And, there's also, been things, people say he gets a little full of himself on set. Now, that's just a rumor. We don't know that for sure. But it made me think how sometimes when we get our blessings and we start to think a lot about ourselves and we forget who gave us the blessings, God can take those blessings and say, you need to sit down for a moment, remember who gave you these blessings, remember to walk in my ways, remember to walk in humility, and then you can have it back. Because at the end of the day, God is like a father, right? And he's a disciplinary. Like, there's one thing from the Bible, especially the Old Testament, God is a disciplinary. And it's a good thing, right? Because parents who don't discipline their children are bad parents, basically. And you see those kids, they grow up, they're spoiled and they're rotten. And it's to their detriment, right? A good parent, a good God disciplines his children. And in fact, the Bible talks about how you're lucky if God disciplines you. That means he loves you, right? Because some people, he gives them into their own desires. It talks about that in Romans. Like, he's like, they were wilding out. They were into all bunch of crazy sexual stuff and craziness. So I gave them they were sleeping with the same sexes and all this other stuff. And he's like, I gave them into their own desires. I gave them into their own lust, right? Same thing with Pharaoh. Pharaoh was very prideful, and God said, oh, you're prideful? Okay, you think you're better than me? And God hardened his heart even more. And a lot of people say, well, that's unfair of God to do. But all God did was give him what he wanted, right? Which is the polar opposite of taking something from somebody. He gave them even more just to show them, I'm going to give you everything you want. You want to be lustful? I'm going to give you your desire. I'm going to let you be lustful. Times 10. You want to be prideful? I'm going to make you even more prideful. Times 10. I'm going to give you everything you wanted, everything you craved, and I'm going to let you see where that leads you, which is nowhere. When God disciplined the Hebrews in the Old Testament, he did that because he's like, look, if I don't discipline you guys now, I'm going to have to destroy you like I had to destroy some of these other nations, right? And those other nations, right, People say, oh, God, he just came in and he just annihilated for no reason. No. Those people were sacrificing babies. And there's, not only does it say this in the Bible, but there's also like archaeological proof of this. Those people were sacrificing babies, killing babies. And originally, when Abraham wanted to take the land, God said, no, these people, their sin isn't big enough for me to let you take their land. That's something that your ancestors are going to do. I'm going to let them stay on the land. He let those people stay on the land for like hundreds, thousands of years until finally he said, okay, their sin is so much that I have to stop them, right? So God said, okay, enough of you praising other gods, enough of you sacrificing your kids and your children. If you ever want to piss God off, mess with children. He said, okay, enough is enough. I'm going to let you take this land. I'm punishing these people. And with the Hebrews, he also punished them, but he said, look, I'm punishing you so that you don't end up like these other groups of people, nations around you that I had to destroy, right? So I'm giving you this punishment in hopes that it will make you better and you'll come back to me, right? That's the whole point, is God disciplines you so you come back to him, right? So one thing I did notice about the case about Jonathan Majors is he always had a Bible in hand. Now, some people say, oh, he was just bringing it to look good. I don't know. But he didn't bring a Quran. He didn't bring anything other kind of book. He brought the Bible. And even when his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend was giving her testimony, every time she would get up on the stand, he would read his Bible, which I thought was interesting. So I think that him getting that guilty charge, getting kicked out of Marvel, because of course, they kicked him out the next day. He got dropped by his agency. Like, he went from a career high to a career low. No, he has no talent representation, no movies down the pipeline, nothing, right? And this is a good time for him to come back to God, walk with God, build his relationship with God instead of the industry, And sometimes God has to do very dramatic things to get our attention because we're all hard-headed, I know I am. So sometimes God really has to shake your world to get your attention and to get you to see, hey, you've forgotten all about me. You've forgotten about my ways. You've left me. Come back to me, right? And again, it's a blessing. It's a blessing, right? Because the worst thing God could do is not try to get your attention, let you die, and then what? You go to hell? God's trying to get your attention while you're on earth and say, hey, come back to me now, because when you die, it's going to be too late. When you die, it's too late to be like, oh God, I know I lived a life without you, but now I'm sorry. When you're dead, you're dead. When you're dead, you're just going to go where you want to go. So God's trying to get our attention now.